now we're moving to our final part of this podcast, and the initial intention was for us to meet and discuss numerology, because both of us, we love numerology, and we found out so many truth in this learning and this
spiritual journey.
And I know that recently you've been studying numerology in depth a little bit. So I wanted to ask you, what is numerology for you, and how numerology can help you change your life, change different areas when you know your date of birth. Like, what does it changes in your life?
Yeah, I think I will probably start with kind of my journey, what led me to there, because I was into psychology for years, and I worked with therapists, I was reading by myself, I was studying, but then for me it's always kind of felt like I'm hitting into the wall. I'm like, okay, so this happened in my childhood. First of all, what do I do with that? I don't understand like how to I don't understand how to move forward with this. And also, like, is it true? Like, you know, when you are talking with a therapist, maybe this is something that I heard from someone and it's not my belief. Maybe this is something that just came to me in the moment. And I feel like a lot of times I was self-sabotaging myself, because I would come to the session to talk about one thing, and then I'm like, why am I even discussing that? It doesn't bother me. It's just something that was like just my brain flow. And my brain flow can be like million things at the same time, and it's like a lot of changes in that. And another thing, it happened last summer. I had like a lot of life changes. For background story, I moved out of London. I lived there for 11 years, and for the past couple of years I felt like I like it. I have my friend circle there, but I'm not happy there anymore. Like, I'm not excited, and I always felt like I don't have this kind of breath of fresh air, and it's very important for me. And I realized that all the cool things in my life happen when I travel. And to be honest, I wanted to move to Dubai, but then kind of never happened fully, and I'm still nomadic for almost a year, which has been a huge change in my life, but at the same time triggered a lot of different fears, a lot of beliefs that I had. And throughout this year I was questioning what I'm doing a lot. And also a lot of people around me were, funnily, a lot of people were really triggered. Like, I had a lot of people that told me, you're running from something. Or like, what do you mean you're leaving? All your friends are here. Or like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna feel lonely. And a lot of these things that, you know, I think it helped me a lot to figure out what I want to do, simply because I was on my own. And also, like, coming back to what we previously discussed, I kind of felt like I am my own support system. I have to like build a lot of structures internally in myself in order to bring that to the world, and like finally to become my true self, and not something that somebody wants me to be, or like not to. For me, it's very difficult to explain what I am, because I feel like I'm many things. I have a lot of interests. I have like a lot of kind of chunks of my personality, and I was always very subconscious about that. I was always thinking that like, I don't understand because I have to fit in. Like, I'm not a girly girl, I'm not a guy's girl, I'm not like, you know, I'm somebody who works in crypto and loves to dress up. Like, this is
that's the perfect mix.
Like the easiest example. Like, I can tell you about technology and I can talk to developers, and then I'm like, oh, my nail has chipped. And I was always like feeling like I'm not fitting in. And
that's amazing. I think like this balance of like 2, 3, 4 in you, it's what makes you unique.
True, but I think it's a very at least for me, it was kind of a long journey to understand that this is what makes me unique. That it's not like some things that I consider weird. This is just me. Like, everyone around is weird in our own way, but actually people with whom I connect more, they're the ones who are actually building their personality on unique things. They are not like boilerplate people.
They've discovered through the self-discovery. They discovered their authenticity.
Exactly.
You know, and authenticity is the most beautiful thing. You know, because so many people wear masks just to fit in, just to like be accepted, not be rejected. This is the biggest fear of all, to be alone, to be left alone. So we are so afraid to actually look within and be truthful to who we are. To say confidently that this is who I am, I'm not ashamed of that, I accept myself, and whether you like me or not. And then you start meeting people who are the same.
Yeah, exactly. When you realize, when you kind of figure out who you are, you meet your tribe.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you are everything, you can, like, if you try to be liked by everyone, you're not going to be liked by anyone. I think it's like, it's one of the easiest marketing concepts. Like, the more niche you go, the bigger chunk of the market you can get, just simply because the offer is going to be tailored. So I think the same works in life.
And also, I think people can always feel the fake energy. You know, when you are trying to be someone else, when you're trying to maybe people please, when you're masking yourself, you're not attractive. And coming back to the topic of actually feminine energy and magnetism, the woman that is so magnetic, she is in her authenticity. She lives in her truth, you know, and I think that's the key. That's very important. So my I also realized that I cannot speak in short sentences. It's always like a long story for me. So sorry in advance. Numerology. How what do you think of it?
Yeah, so first it was like psychology, which didn't like 100% click for me. Then I switched to astrology, and I had incredible consultations. Like, I had the package of 5 consultations with an astrologist, and basically she explained to me everything that is like what is given to me, and how can I work with this, how can I compensate or like minimize negative sides, how can I supercharge my positive sides. And then I wanted to learn how to do this myself. I started studying astrology, and I was like, oh my God, because I have to learn like so much, and it's multiple years of doing that. And then I randomly came across numerology. My sister started sending me some reels from Instagram, and at first I was thinking like, this is weird. And then the more I kept listening about myself, like the more she kept sending me about herself, I'm like, this really checks out. So I started going deeper down the rabbit hole. And I think for me, like, first of all, it gave me a lot of answers about myself, and a lot of, you know, ways to understand what is the power that is ingrained in me, and like actually things that I thought that maybe this is I have to get rid of. I was like, this is actually my superpower, or something that was my biggest lesson in life.
Can you give an example so we understand deeper? Let's say like you have a certain like date of birth, right? How can you find out what is like your strength, what is your weaknesses? For example, I know that you are 7, and your month is 1, right? January. I'm 1 and 1, 19th of October. So what does it say? Let's look at numbers.
First of all, I think it's important to explain like how do we calculate this, right? So while in astrology you need to have like the exact minute and second when you were born, you need to have the place. Numerology is basically the concept is that the whole world is based on numbers, and it's not esoterics. Actually, it's a science. There's a huge statistical base, and I was going deeper down the rabbit hole just recently, and I started reading like about Pythagoras, about the numbers and everything, and it's very interesting because if you can say that this is coincidences, but there are a lot of things in religious books, there are a lot of things in just the books that talk about how the world is built that are basing certain things on numbers. And even if you think about that, like we have certain numerical features about the world, right? We have 365 days in a year, 25 hours in a day. Women are pregnant for 9 months. We have like different cycles of the moon that can be calculated. So everything is numerical.
I even heard that countries also have numbers. It was something unique for me. Like each country has its own number.
Yeah, exactly. Countries, names, everything.
Letters as well.
And it actually comes from Arabic. It comes from like Arabic cultures.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because initially there were numbers versus letters.
Oh.
This is where it comes from. And music also has numerical background because music is pure math.
Okay. Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah, which I think like puts things into perspective because a lot of people now are rejecting anything that is not like they understand mathematics, right? But they reject like astrology and numerology while they're both based on mathematics. So it's not like voodoo.
It's true. You know, the funny story is that I always loved this kind of things like astrology, numerology, esoterics. I find so many truths in that. And my grandfather, he is atheist. You know, he doesn't believe in anything. Like he doesn't believe in God. Of course, like astrology, numerology for him, it's like, what are you doing, girl? But he is like very smart man. He was an engineer. And he was building spaceships. He's a science man, you know. So each time me and my sister start to discuss like astrology, retro Mercury, numerology, he looks at us and he's like, "You're so like dumb, you know. Like what the hell are you talking about?" But the truth is that numerology holds a lot of science, you know, and
it's one of the oldest science.
Exactly.
Like finally.
Exactly. And even though there are many like comments about this,
I think like it's esoterics, right?
Esoterics. If you start reading about like your number or your star sign, you find so many like truth, and even with numerology, because astrology is a little bit broad. If you read about like, I don't know, Leo, Libra, there are many Libras, there are many Leos, but in numerology you can read specifically, calculate your unique numbers based on your date of birth. And I was shocked, like when I started diving deeper into that, like this summer as well, I was shocked how precise my numbers describe me, my strength, the personality and the struggles I'm facing. And you may believe it or not, or you can just read about it and be shocked how much truth is there.
True. I think it also depends like what you do with this. So for me personally, for example, the way it's calculated, you take your day of birth, not the whole date, but the day. Let's say I'm 16, so I take 1 plus 6, it equals 7. If you have something like 11, let's say you downsize it to a single digit, and it's going to be 2.
Yeah, so the key is to basically bring your day to 1 digit.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and it's basically one of the ways to like type yourself. Because if you go into pure psychology, for example, each direction of psychology, it has its own typing way. There are like 5 categories of people, like 5 personality types, for example. So numerology puts everyone into 9 categories, numbers from 1 to 9. How should we do it? Should we go from 1 to 9 and then talk about us? Or
yeah, I think that would be great. Like if you can say a little bit, and we will brainstorm about each number, starting from 1, so our viewers can find out more about their own number.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. So, what can you say about the person who was born on the 1st, 10th? 19th or 28th. If you calculate these two, it will be 1. For example, my date of birth is 19. I calculate 1 plus 9, and we have 10.
Yeah.
So the first 1.
I think for 1 in particular, like it's very interesting to see, to take a look at it from like the planet that represents 1, and it's sun. Yeah. So it tells you everything, right? So everything is centered around the sun. So this is what 1 wants, and this is what was ingrained into 1 from the onset. So this is the person who
egocentric.
No, but it's also important to say that each number opens into positive side and into negative side. So let's say for 1, the positive side is going to be leadership, nurturing other people, not being a leader who's like very hard on people, but actually growing.
Yeah.
Also like attracting attention, being comfortable on their own, and being kind of like a creative leader who people want to follow, and being on their own. On the negative side, this is being egocentric and like being selfish, being kind of aggressive to people in terms of like, I said so, that's why it has to be like that.
It's also interesting, since I know a lot about 1, that as you said, it is ruled by the sun, and there are 2 sides of the sun. The sun can really shine the light. For example, if you're 1 and you're a leader, you can really like inspire, motivate with that sun energy others. But at the same time, if you use your energy in the minus, let's say, you may burn. You may burn others with your energy. If you really, because 1, their biggest weakness, let's say, is their ego. They believe that the world turns around them, and it is really hard to be on the background, you know. So also, when you are absorbed by your ego, if you're 1, you can burn others, burn with your egocentrism, burn with your with that strong energy.
So usually in numerology, the advice that they give to 1 is to be the leader, but be nurturing at the same time, and try to work on diplomacy. Try to understand that this is not like you saying that this is how the world should look like. You have to work with other people. You have to understand that like the world does not evolve around you, and you have to be more flexible.
True. And also very important and cool tool that I found out is that for once it is very important to be the reason of success of other people. So because number one really wants to be like in the middle, you know, like be the top. They say like it's like queens and kings, you know, they hold this energy. So in order to transform their ego, they need to understand how they can be the reason for others to succeed. Maybe with their leadership, but at the same time serving others. You know, not like consuming, but instead like giving.
Exactly what I meant by nurturing leader, because actually I have a business partner that we work with, and he's way younger than me. So I'm 32 and he's 25. But every time I'm saying something, he's like, I got you, girl. Just tell me what to do. And he's number one. And he's all the time like, you know, very, he shares a lot. Like I feel that he creates the environment where I will be comfortable, and he's happy with that. Like it doesn't bother him when I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. This annoys me, that annoys me. He's like, I got you. Yeah. But so this is one energy, like I got you.
I got you. But at the same time, it can be the weakness because like it's really hard for one to delegate something, and one believes that I can do everything on my own. You know, like this also an ego thing within. So also that's why for women, dear women who are one, and I'm sharing it from my personal experience, it is very important to work on your feminine energy, because with this energy of the sun, with this energy of the leader, and with such a strong ego, sometimes you may slide. One is a very masculine, one is the masculine number, right? So
yeah, it's a good addition. As we're speaking about like femininity, masculinity, let's add which number is masculine and feminine. And it doesn't mean if you have a masculine number, it doesn't mean that you're a man, right? It doesn't, like, we can look at Jane and she looks very feminine, she behaves very feminine, but this is more about your character traits. Like, what do you do when, do you want to depend on others, or are you like, I will do everything by myself?
Exactly. And it is very important, if you're one, to still work on your femininity, to dive deeper there, because it is natural for you to lead, it is natural for you to guide, to be strong, to be like, you know, this rock. But at the same time, like, if you want to be happy as a woman in the relationships, most importantly. So
they say for more male numbers, what you have to do in relationships, you have to give up. Like, you know, because if you want a man who is more of a man than you are, you cannot compete with him. Because like, if you're showing your strength, just one person in the couple can be alpha.
Yes. And even if you're strong, even if you know everything, you believe so, it's very wise to step back, lean back, and give the leadership to your masculine, even though maybe you're an amazing leader.
Which brings us to 2.
Yes.
Because my mom is pure 2, and I'm really learning from her, because though she is strong, she has her life, her career, 2 stands for diplomacy. So best therapists, best diplomats, anyone who brings power through their voice. And basically for a woman, 2 energy is about flexibility, about being able to be in relationships with anyone, about being able to understand everyone, because for 2 it's very important to understand. Even it's like funny, we're talking to my mom and she's like, but I don't understand. And I'm like, you're trying to understand for 2 weeks, just give up. And she's like, no, but I have to understand. And she really has to, and like she's very good with people. Somewhere, like in some situations where I'm like, I am just gonna kill this person, and she's like, no, but he's behaving like this because of XYZ. And they see this whole journey, they see how to be, you know, more, how to be kinder to people, because they are trying to understand where people are coming from.
They're very empathetic, like all the tools that I met are, and this is, by the way, more of the feminine energy. So people who were born with 2, they tend to have more of that feminine side, and like very empathetic, good listeners. That's why they're great psychologists, coaches, you know. They can feel you like no one.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's also the energy that kind of switches very
oh my goodness.
They don't get offended for a long time. They kind of like, they have a very, very fast switch. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I've noticed, and they can really thank you. They can they don't like conflicts, and they will do their best to like eliminate, avoid like these tensions. So their goal is to keep peace, because for them the most scary thing is to lose the connection. And their minus usually, like their weak side is, although they're like empathetic, very nurturing, blah blah blah, but at the same time they easily become codependent because they just cannot be on their own. You know, they need another person.
Yeah, exactly, because they want to, you mentioned that they're good at keeping relationships, but in the negative side, they're good at keeping relationships at any cost. Even the relationships that they should not keep, like being, let's say, in abusive relationships, or being friends with somebody who is telling you bad things or criticizing you all the time. So they will keep the relationships just for the sake of having this friendship, for example, without actually thinking how does it reflect on like them personally.
And that's how they like mostly end up in toxic relationships, especially the number 2, because they just can't you know, like
can be aggressive to people when they have to, right?
Exactly. They can't choose themselves, because their main priority is to keep the relationships no matter what. And this is beautiful because they're strong diplomats, like but at the same time it can go to minus.
Exactly. So then number 3, so if you sum up the numbers in your day of birth and it comes to a single digit and you have 3, 3 is the energy of a queen or a king, or
that's my favorite
or the actress, which is a very feminine energy, because this is someone who is very much attuned to their emotional side. In the plus, they love attention. They can earn money easily as like influencers, for example, or anyone who is on stage and who likes to shine, who likes all the attention drawn to them. Usually women who have 3 as their date of birth, they have a lot of attention of men around them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And for 3, they say that the biggest challenge is to not choose one side of their life, to be a career woman and also have the relationships, because 3 is like the number of the perfect balance. So 2 is duality and 3 is perfect balance, just because if you look at different parts of the number, they're completely equal.
Wow, that's interesting. You know, from my side, I can add that all the women that I met with 3, they truly hold this energy of Empress. You know, I remember I had this girlfriend in London. Her name is Ksenia too, and she was born in the 3rd. And the moment I saw her, we met in the cafe. You know, I was like in awe by her energy, like this very feminine Empress kind of energy. And she could handle work very well. She was also like nurturing. She had this like mother energy, which I think the 3 holds as well. And I was just so impressed. And also number 3 is very creative. Like their power, their strength is their creative abilities. And all the women and men with number 3 who I met are great at like making art, making beautiful photos. Like they have some sort of creativity in their life, which they're really good at. And also all the 3s, especially men that I met, I even had
they love themselves.
They love themselves, but also like I had
just want to be like, how is this shirt?
Yes, like they are like a little bit egoists in some ways, you know. I had the boyfriend 3, but also like their strength is that they're so funny. Like they can make you laugh like crazy. All the 3s that I met, they are like comedians, you know. They have this sense of they're smart, really smart, and they have a great sense of humor.
Exactly.
So this I find very attractive, especially in men, but in women, of course, their empress queen energy. This is like their pride, their presence.
Yeah, and 3 is also about the goals. Those are the most ambitious people who can get anything in the world. But as a downside, they can be the laziest.
All right, I agree. It's like a minus. It's
Number 4.
number 4.
4 is interesting because in different sources say that it's feminine, other sources say that it's masculine. Because
really?
actually 4 is the energy of earth.
Okay.
So on one side it can be Mother Earth, because women with number 4, they want to help everyone.
Yeah.
But they want to help everyone basically because they try to take male responsibilities. They think that they have to provide the structure, because 4 stands for structure, goals, clarity, and it's very kind of like monolithic energy. And usually people who have 4 either as their day of birth, or like who have 4 anywhere in their whole date of birth, it means that they have a very strong body and very strong health.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was surprised when you said that it's some sources say that it's feminine, because for what I was learning about 4, that it's an emperor. You know? And like I think 4 is very masculine number.
Yeah. I think it also depends, like, exactly comes back to what is masculine, what is feminine.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of sources, like every number that stands for structure, where there's structure, there is no flexibility. So flexibility is usually feminine and structure is masculine.
Yeah.
But it really depends, right?
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
So this one is interesting.
I also heard that 4 is one of the strongest number, and from my personal experience, like my dad is 4, and I've never seen such a strong and masculine man, and his ability to like widen everything, like with money, with like, because 4 is also a very financial, I think, number. Stable, and people who are focused on material more than, like, let's say, spiritual. They have goals, and these people usually tend to be successful because they have this strength, discipline, power, stability, and I find this number very strong, especially for men.
Does he do sports?
And he integrated sport into his life, because he was suffering a lot without having a sport.
That's the key for 4 and 7 in particular, because like by my mythology, these are 2 parts of one demon. So
I've heard of it.
So each number corresponds to the planet, and 4 and 7 correspond to the planets that do not exist. It's Ketu. 4 is Rahu, and 7 is Ketu. So those are the kind of like fictitious planets, as they're called. We cannot see them, but this is what causes eclipse. Rahu is causing the eclipse for Sun, and Ketu is causing the eclipse for the moon. So this is the only time when we can see them in power. And that's why, like, first of all, there are a lot of common things between the numbers, because both have they have a lot of, like, it's basically 4 is the head of the demon, so no body. So all the energy comes to their mind, and that's why to move the energy down, to be kind of grounded and actually to fulfill their goals, they have to work on their body. So they have to integrate structure, they have to integrate sport. Otherwise it can be seen as like there's too much energy coming into like a small head, and that's why you start having aggression, you start like being distracted and things like that.
I also heard that 4, because of this energy, because of how much information they receive in their head, like they can become like toxic, they can become aggressive, as you said, and it can be like very dangerous, you know. So it is important for for 4, because they hold so much of this energy, like strength, to ground it and to like because otherwise they will put it on other people.
And they also need somebody who's strong next to them in the couple, or like in any even business relationships, because otherwise they're going to kind of force people do whatever they want, and in this way they lose respect to people. So they need somebody who pushes back. Otherwise they will start kind of like abusing people around them.
What about women? Just let's say a little bit, and we move to 5.
Women like less aggression and more like structure, stability, and kind of the clear way. And also for women who are born under number 4, their main issue is that they try to help everyone. Like they try to take male responsibilities on their shoulders. And then at one point they just become overwhelmed, and they say that usually those women suffer because they attract men who are more feminine.
And I agree with you. I think also like 4 is a very giving number.
True.
So like all the people that I met who are 4 are true givers. And sometimes for a woman it can be not a weakness, but something that takes away her feminine, because she's such a giver, you know, and she gives and gives, and she wants to help everyone, to nurture everyone, but it needs to be
her
in balance.
expense.
Yes, at her expense.
I actually hired a girl to my team who is, I think, she's a classical 4. I 100% love her, but she's giving so much, and like she feels like she has to give a lot, and sometimes I'm like, this is too much. Like I don't want people in my teams to work that much. I want you to be comfortable, like to work at the hours that are comfortable for you. But I think the perfect example of 4, we had an introductory call, and she came with the whole structure. So there are like bullet points, there are checklists, there are things that she's going to do, and I was like, wow, that had to be me. Because you know, like I'm bringing her onto the team, so I had to create the structure, but she came with it. I'm like, that's incredible.
I think 4s are incredible business women and businessmen, because they're able to create a structure, you know, and they are here to как сказать, вот расширять, все расширять, to monetize, to expand, you know, this is the power of 4, to basically like make the strategy happen, create the strategy, because they have a strong vision, and monetize, expand, you know. So if you have 4 in your chart, another
good for you.
Good for you. Yeah, another important distinction is that 4s are also about family. You know, 4 is like home, family, creating this. So men who are 4 are great.
Very traditional
Fathers, very traditional. They want a big family, you know, and women too. They still thrive to create family. That's in their values.
Yeah, for sure.
So now number 5.
5 is about freedom.
Okay.
So the main value that 5 have is to be free. And it's considered a male number, because for a woman it's difficult to be like traditional girl's girl, and at the same time, like, you know, want to have no borders, because 5 basically doesn't have any 5 should not have any limits, whether in the outside world or in their head. So let's say if they're in relationship with somebody who is telling them you have to behave in this way and not in the other way, they will either suffer or they will not be in those relationships in a week.
That's so interesting, you know, because I have a girlfriend and she's 5, and she always tells me how hard it is for her to be in the relationships, because she thrives for freedom, but at the same time she feels guilty when she wants to leave her boyfriend for like to go on a trip, or like she needs her time, her space. And she is 5.
They do need their time, their space. I actually had a boyfriend who is born on 14th.
Okay,
And
that's 5.
yeah, and I think when I started learning numerology, I'm like, oh, now I understand. Because very loving, very caring person, but at the same time, he was telling me that he's scared to be in serious relationships because this feels kind of like end of his normal life. Yeah. And I think funnily for 5, they need to find somebody who loves freedom even more than them, especially for men who are 5, because if they are in relationships with somebody who's like, let's sit at home all the time, what are you doing? Let's do everything together. It's just they're suffocated.
I agree. It's actually so true. Now I remember another girlfriend who just came to Dubai, and she also told me that she finds the relationship where you constantly together, like you have routine, is so boring for her. And she's typical 5. She was born 5th of April. And that's crazy how true it is, you know?
It is, because you know, I was laughing so much, like I don't remember where I heard this, but they were saying that for a guy with number 5, he needs to find somebody who will be like, oh, I left for a month, I forgot to tell you. And I just remembered that when we were in relationships, he was like, when are you coming back to London? I'm like, I decided to go to Yemen for a week. He was like, what the hell?
But he was happy about it.
Like, he was interested. I think he was like, interesting, what's wrong with her? I need to dig deeper.
Oh, that's nice. That's such an interesting secret you can know about 5s, you know, to use it, because they love freedom. I also know that 5s are great teachers. They know how, they have so much information within themselves. They know how to gather this information, and they are great at transferring this information, and also through social media, through the stage, like Christina Igazarova, for example.
They need to teach. And I think another interesting thing is that like 5 wants to spread. Basically, it's difficult for them to go deeper into one topic, but at the same time, this is what the world wants from them. This is like their biggest lesson. And if 5 chooses like one person to build relationships with, or if it chooses one business niche and goes deeper into it, this is where they start getting like more happiness, more opportunities, more money, versus just like spreading around.
It's also interesting how, if you know your numerology, you may use it wisely in order to create wealth, in order to create beautiful relationships, because you know what is your strength, and you basically tap into it when you are aware, and this can help you change your situation.
Quantum leaps.
Leaps.
So it's easier because you know what's your strength and like what is the lesson that you have to learn.
Now let's move to 6. 6. Very interesting. Before we start, I want to add that 6 is the feminine number. So
the most feminine.
The most feminine. Like 2 and 6, I believe, is the most feminine.
But 2 is more like, I would say, wife and mother energy. And 6 is more like there is more sexual energy, because 6 is ruled by Venus as a planet. So Venus is responsible for love life, for sexual relationships, for money, for everything that's beautiful, luxurious, and so on. So 6 has the same energy. So for them, it's very important to have like aesthetics in everything. So if you know somebody who's 6, if they're in their like positive sides, they are always beautiful. They're always well groomed. They're traveling to beautiful places. Their homes are immaculate. They love to dress up. They love to have attention. And also, what I noticed, they're slower. So because being slow is also another, like being able to slow down is another attribute.
It's a feminine quality to slow down.
You know, I noticed this, my sister is 6 and I couldn't understand. I'm like, how are you meeting people in like yoga studio? And she's like, what do you mean? You're just there, you meet people. then I was watching her, and I will tell about like me
I
as a
remember
7
this
after.
story. I love it.
Yeah. So for me, like I'm usually finishing, let's say, like my yoga class,
Packing your
and
stuff.
I'm like,
gone.
second, I'm not there. That's it. I can't be like, I will stretch and everything. With her, I'm always like, when we go together, I'm all packed with my yoga mat, like waiting for her, and she's like stretching. I'm like, how are you doing this? And like that, while she stretches, while she's like slowly leaving the class, she'll talk to everyone, and she knows everyone.
Yeah.
And I've made a test. I was doing the same. So there was one guy at the yoga class.
Yeah.
And we exchanged numbers. And I was like, that's how it works.
Because you basically turned on your feminine energy and it attracted the masculine straight away.
Yeah, I just finished the class and I was like, okay, there's the mirror, I'll do my lips. I would be just like rolling my mat, not like that, but like that.
Yeah, this is what I always say in my podcasts, that true feminine energy is not about like this rush, this anxiety, this hustle state, like, oh, I need to do this, I need to run. Feminine energy is activated in you when you like slow down, you are at peace, and you're not in a rush. You know that everything is happening for you, the time bends for you. And this is like this cat energy.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But for 6, so this is their benefits, and they're very usually they say that a woman with number 6, if she's not in relationships, it means that she's devastated with something and she doesn't want to be in relationships. Because usually their whole life evolves around love. So and this is their main weakness, because if you think about attracting love all the time, you fall into relationships that you don't necessarily want. And they also pay attention to kind of shiny objects, like the most handsome guy, and they will like not look at other qualities that this guy has. They might overlook that he's an abuser, but he's like, you know, the society perceives him as like the highest award you can get.
That's a very interesting thought that you said, because when we talk about men who are 6, like most of the men that I met who are 6, their biggest weakness is beautiful women. Like if you're beautiful, you take care of yourself, like they are so attracted to natural beauty, and for them this is like criteria number 1 when they're choosing like a woman, that this woman should be beautiful. But at the same time, what I've noticed is that all the 6 is also the number of devil, and they also love their freedom. They're freedom oriented, and they cannot stay like in one relationships for long, because they are
it's, you know, it's not about freedom even, it's about comfort. Because they, whenever they become uncomfortable, they want to switch, and any relationships makes you uncomfortable at one point or the other. So that's another like biggest lesson of 6, is that they need to understand how to keep the relationships.
And also, you know, because they're very like 6 is probably one of the most sexual number. You know, they have so much sexual energy, both men and women. That's why women are also like very creative, and men who are 6 are creative. And since this is the feminine energy, like most of the men that I met who are 6, they are more like on this like feminine energy. So because there's so much sexual energy, sometimes it is hard to like choose one person, and because they just can't. They're so sexual, and they need to spread it.
Need someone beautiful all the time. So it's either you're in relationships with 6 and you are the most beautiful woman they can see, or their eyes will start wandering.
It's hard, at the same time interesting to be with number 6.
True. But it's gonna be beautiful.
So now we're moving on to 7.
My number.
Yes, Ksenia's number.
Yeah.
We love to discuss it too. So tell us, 7.
Yeah, so 7 is another kind of mystical number because the planet does not exist. So 4 is the head of the demon and 7 is the body. So as there are no head, basically it means that it's very difficult to understand who you are. And there is another myth connected with 7 that they try to fit the head of the elephant or like other creatures, and then they just place the star as their head. So that's the visualization of 7, because for 7 the biggest longing is to be the best, is for people to say that 7 is the best. And to be honest, after I learned this, I started noticing, like, let's say even at work, if I'm talking to somebody and they're telling me that like I'm the best person they ever worked with, I'm like, I love you.
Okay.
I'm like,
that's how you can use this.
Yeah, I'm always like, keep it, stop, but don't. Like, you know. And this is how you can use it. That's true, because I know that I can get tricked like this, and especially like 7 is easy to get tricked like this in relationships, because it technically means that any guy who's feeding you with compliments, you're gonna choose him over somebody who, like, let's say, does something for you but doesn't say much.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically that's how they can catch you, you know, like this is your weakest
exactly
spot.
Yeah.
And also I know that 1 and 7 are similar in that, because both love appreciation and admiration.
Yeah, exactly. And for 7 also an important thing is that 7 is the number of crisis.
Okay.
It's
and
like
transformation,
exactly,
right?
Yeah, like personal transformation through crisis. And like basically usually people who are born on 7th, 16th or 25th, they have a lot of challenging situations in their life, and they're kind of like a phoenix. So they get burned, then they rise up. And they need to bring this to the world and like teach people through their experiences. So they're meant to go through all these situations to be able to help people. And it's also a number of say it's also a number of speed. Like
speed.
Yeah, because there's a lot of transformation. That's why, like, even when I was telling you the story about my sister and me, that's why I do everything fast, because I'm like, 7 always fears that there's not enough time and it will not accomplish something, because it needs to move all the time. Like, it needs to travel, new experiences, unusual places and all of that, which makes it a masculine number.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention.
1 and 7 are the most masculine.
Yeah, 1 and 7 are the most masculine. Look at us.
We won the lottery.
I think we don't look masculine, but the character is strong, and it's funny because my sister, she was born the same day as you, like 7th of January. Yeah. And oh God, you know, when 1 and 7 are together, it's always like, if you don't know how to be aware of your power, it's hard, because both of the energies are very strong, and both of the energies love to be like
center of attention.
And what I see in many 7s is that this number is extraordinary. You know, these people, they're extremely smart, and like, you are like this genius, you know, like,
I already love you. You tapped into the ego. Just like, keep going.
I know, but this is true, you know. Even though, like, I had so many conflicts with my sister, she's a genius in some ways, and I have many friends who are 7s, guys as well. Like, there is something extraordinary, like very high intellect. Also, that's why it is also like masculine, because very intellectual, you know, and also very mysterious, very in tune with esoterics, even though like some sevens that I have, they try to deny and they try to tell me I don't believe in that, but I see that they're curious. They're so curious.
You know, they say that 7 has to, so basically because it has the body and doesn't have head, so all the energy comes from the ground. So to clear up the mind and to bring the energy to the mind, you have to like first of all be in strong discipline, and they say that through the discipline of the body you can come to discipline of the mind, because 7 is also like chaos. And for me, if so I train daily, I do some sort of sports daily, I walk daily, and I also structure my days. Like I can have days where I'm like wash my hair, eat my lunch, or like everything is structured. Otherwise I might be staring at the screen or just like sitting at the sofa and not understanding what to do, because my mind is like 1,000 things at the same time. So it's more like what I noticed about 7, they're super smart when they create structure for themselves, and they have to be interested in you know, something that is kind of a different side of the world, something that we don't see, esoterics, how the world is built, like some kind of higher powers, whether it's religion, whether it's astrology, numerology, anything that is not like 100% proven.
I agree with you. I think that's what always catches your like attention and interest, like this hidden knowledge, to discover that.
1 and 7 is interesting because I think it works really well in friendships, but in personal relationships they say that those are 2 numbers that kill each other.
These are the enemies. Like as
I heard the funniest explanation, because it's like from one side it's very similar energies because we want to be leaders, but from the other side 1 is very like structured and it's more like I told you so, you have to like, this is the order, you have to do it. And I heard a funny explanation that like if you have a man who is 1, for example, and he tells you like come here and like stand on your knees, and this or like be on your knees, the 7 is gonna sit on his lap. And 1 is going to be like, what the hell is happening? Because 7 doesn't know what it's going to do the next moment.
That's so interesting. I also think that it was always hard for me for number 7. You're probably, okay, I also have a good guy friend in London, you're my 2 7 friends. But apart from that, with my sister, how it always was, that I was constantly triggered by her, and at some point I realized that I am triggered by her because she reflects me, she mirrors me, the same ego that I have. You know, for example, like I wanted to be the center of the universe. I wanted us to do things as I want, and she wants the same as a 7. You know, and it is so hard, like to. Because it's like a competition. No one is ready to step back. You know,
for sure.
Only if you're wise, aware.
But I noticed also with 7, because they say that this is the number that is kind of like protected by 7 angels, and it means that you have the highest upside. So let's say it's easy to do like quantum leaps, like 200% up, but it's the same easy to fall 200% down. And basically, if you're 7, if you're moving through the right path in your life, you will feel it. If you're doing something wrong, you'll feel it immediately.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like even in my career, for example, I had a lot of situations where I'm like, coming from here to here, I'm like, let's say tripling what I was doing, and then in 1 second I'm losing a job, or in 1 second like the project closes, something goes wrong. And the idea is that you have to kind of tune into your intuitive side more, and you have to figure out what's the right way for you, like through those situations that happen in your life. So I think with 7th, they self-regulate themselves more, just because if you don't, the life is gonna slap you constantly.
It's very interesting notice. think
Yeah.
let's move on
8?
to 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much, about 8.
Same.
Although my mom is 8,
Yeah.
and I know that this number is about money. You know, like usually 8 know how to make money. They're good at teaching others how to make money. It is a very material also number,
Exactly.
same as 4, and also like 8 is the month of a Leo in horoscope.
Yeah.
So all the Leos that I know are also like very into material. They love this
Status.
Yeah. So also what I know about 8 is that they are very detail oriented. They are great at details, little structures. So in terms of creating a business, let's say, it's the best people in the team because they would be very strong at details. However, when it comes to feminine energy, what do you know? Do you
It's like 50-50 because, as you mentioned, 8 is the number of money, it's the number of status, so 8 corresponds to the result. So the result like that you can physically touch. Even in terms of industries that 8 can work in, let's say like 1 and 7 can work online because it's the energy that can be like from afar, and you can do that. For 8, it has to be some sort of a physical business. At least part of your business has to be physical.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just started like, I don't have that many people who are 8, but actually my father was 8, my sister's husband is 8, and there are so many like, there are different numbers, 17 and 26, which differs like inside each number you have some differences, but the general energy, it stays. But both of them are very, very traditional in the sense like how they see the family. They want the woman to be feminine. They're both about money. They're both like, they don't have borders in their mind. Like for them, something like the ideas that my father was having, you listen to it and you're like, this is crazy. Like, how would you ever do that? But they actually can do that. And they need like a woman who is not gonna cut them off, but who is going to say like, what do you mean? What do you mean just one Forbes magazine? You have to be in all the Forbeses, you know?
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Like not to dim his light, but to kind of like help him make it happen.
Yeah, actually they say that woman 7 and man 8 is the best tandem.
Really?
Yeah, because 7 always wants something, like it cannot stop, and it always has like this kind of transformation. So whenever you transform, you move to the next stage.
True.
And for men who is 8, they need somebody who's like, have you thought about that? Like, I wanted this.
Oh, that's
keep working, because it's a number of work. And actually,
I think 8s are workaholics.
yes, but funnily they cannot stop working. Because if they stop working, their mind like gets busted. So they need to keep working to clear up their mind.
That's interesting. I've also heard that there was some statistic made about the most wealthy people in the world, and like number 8 was definitely the majority of people who are very rich. They have number 8 in their chart, maybe not the exact date, but their life path, their like 8 is the number of wealth, because it's very hardworking people with great ideas, with ability to take care of every detail, and
I just realized I told you that I don't know anyone who's 8, and then I was like, this person, that person.
Your father is 8. Like
crazy.
You must know a lot about 8.
But actually, about women, I have one of my closest friends. She's 8th of August.
Oh, 8 and 8.
Yeah. 8.
That's crazy.
And she's like the perfect representation, because they say that if you have a single digit, like if you're 2, for example, you're pure 2. If you're 8, you're pure 8. If you're like 17 or 26, it's gonna be a bit of it's the same wish, but you get it through like different actions. So she's, first of all, she works a lot. Like she works all the time. At the same time, she manages to stay beautiful. She's extremely stylish. She manages to do like a lot of things for herself. She travels a lot. She's getting married this summer. So it's like,
okay, that's the positive sign, that not everything is lost.
Yeah, I think that's why they're saying that as an 8, like basically the advice anyone would give her is to stop working that much. But even the way she approached dating was very different. She's like, I don't have time, so I'm scheduling my dates when I'm going for a walk with my dog or when I'm going for a morning coffee. We all laughed at her because I'm like, oh my God, it's like an interview.
Yeah.
But this is like so fitting to her number from what I know now.
If it works for her, like why not? Let's move on to our last number. And also I have a personal question for you because our last number is 9, and let's first talk about what is 9, and after I want you to tell me, like, if I was born on the 19, how does this energy adds to 1? If you know something about
so 9 is ruled by Mars, and Mars is action, emotion, adrenaline. So it's kind of like a fiery and very fierce energy. But at the same time, they say that number 9 is a female number, so it's a good number. It corresponds to emotions. So it's not a cold number. So it's a
all the 9s that I know are very emotional women, capricious. Capricious, or they can make like a drama. They're drama queens.
I actually have a friend, she's 18, so 18 is like the most tamed 9, but I was running this through her because from the outside she's very calm, she's very quiet, she's like kind of reserved, but I told her and she's like, it's difficult for me to build the relationships because whenever it becomes stable, it's boring. Like she needs the drama. She needs all this kind of things in her life.
And interesting fact that like 9s, although they're so emotional, they often keep it within themselves, and at some point they just blow up. They keep everything inside, and it doesn't play well for them because
it's a very close number. It's like it's a number of hermit. So anyone who can like basically go to the woods and stay by themselves because they're very self-contained with themselves. But they also say that it's a number of kind of secrets. So they say in numerology that the biggest perverts, like men with a lot of sexual desires, are number 9.
Really?
And you will never think about that because they're very like reserved from the outside, and it takes them very long time to start trusting someone or to make a decision. But if you are in their trust zone, you're gonna see a lot.
That's interesting. This is I never knew. I also know that 9 is a very spiritual number. Having 2 9s in my chart too, because I was born 19th and 1998. In some, it gives 9. These people, their power is to be spiritual leaders. This is also like going a little bit further. Maybe we will do another podcast about that. But knowing your numerology, you can also find out what is your biggest talent and what is the place where you can grow financially fast. So for 9s, it's they're spiritual leaders, and it is important for them not to be afraid to show their knowledge and wisdom to others, because usually 9s tend to have this fear that I'm not enough. They do a lot of trainings, they have so many educations, but they never start like earning money because deep down there is this constant feeling like I need more information, I need more expertise. So I believe that 9 is also a very spiritual number, and this is their strength, both men and women.
For sure. And I think another trait of 9 is that they want to help. They want to help everyone. and it's one of the tricks in like being in relationships with a guy with number 9, because basically they don't like strong women because they don't understand what is their value in those relationships. So they say that if you're in relationships with a guy with number 9, you have to be damsel in distress.
Okay.
Like even if you're not, you have to be like, my car broke, can you come pick me up? And if any other guy would be just like, I'm busy, I cannot, 9 will bend backwards just to like come and save you, because they have to be like a knight in shining armor
and savior. But at the same time, it doesn't play good for them sometimes, because with their desire to save everyone, these people usually work without the pay, because they cannot like not save everyone. And also they're true givers. They give a lot, and sometimes people use it. People use it because for them it's important to feel like they saved someone, and others can take it like for granted.
Because for them it's important that they save someone and people appreciate that. So if they don't, this is where you see the negative side of 9, and this is where like you're gonna get burned.
So basically they do something for the sake of hearing the appreciation sometimes.
True.
I also know that 9 is the number of war, number of like this fighter, warrior energy. I can even see it on myself, because 9 is fiery, and because I have 1 and 9, it gives me this like burning energy, you know. 9s can really like cut things fast, you know. For example, you're friends with someone and then something happened, they can cut.
A little warning. That's true. But for your previous question, like what do you do when you have double digit and your day of birth? Basically, your first number is going to be your base. So let's say if you have 1 as your first digit, this means that you have to use the energy of number 1 as your base. You have to be a leader, you have to nurture people around you, you have to help your brothers and sisters if you have like younger siblings, and you have to depend on yourself. So this is your constant. And this is like 30% of your personality. The other 70% comes from the second number. So it means that kind of
the other 70, not like the other way around.
No, or if you're a single number, let's say if you're a 7, this means that you want what 7 wants, and you can do it because you have like 7 in your arsenal. Basically, you have this as your tool in your toolkit. If you are 16, I have 1, which is leadership, and I have 6, which is Venus, like love, beauty, and all of that. But my mind wants me to reach 7, but I don't have 7, so I have to learn how to combine 1 and 6 in order to reach 7.
This is very interesting.
So you have more tasks.
This is even deeper. To find out all of that, to understand that you have both energies and how you can use them wisely in order to achieve the third one. It's so cool. I think maybe later in some of the podcasts we can speak about it in more details. If you would like to hear more on this channel, for us to dive deeper into the numerology, because there is so much more that we can discuss, like your life path, how your number influences your money, what are your biggest weaknesses and strengths, leave a comment and we will create something else interesting.
For sure. Thank you so much for inviting. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for being here. I actually enjoyed it so much.
Likewise.
And before we finish, I want to ask you one final question. What one piece of advice would you give to our beautiful audience, women, about about feminine energy, about femininity. What's your personal key to stay feminine?
Yeah. I think first of all, think that there's no boilerplate answer to anything in life, right? What's femininity for you might be different from what's femininity to me.
Yeah.
And we might reach it in completely different ways and like even get the same goal in different ways. So I think first of all, like think that you are a category of your own. You don't have to fit into something. And then find the ways to stay feminine that work for you. So for example, for me, this would be like both nurturing my male side. So I go to the gym, I like to do heavy weights. I love to like have this structure and a lot of clarity and strength at work, which puts my male side at bay. And then I can be feminine. And I do a lot of things like to slow down. I do yoga, I do things for my body, and like massage, for example. And I try to like consciously slow down instead of being like, here's my schedule, this is how I'm gonna run. I put this times throughout the day where I do my like little pleasures, let's say. When I have an hour after I wake up, I do like all my beauty routine. I just take coffee, I switch off all the notifications, and throughout
Rituals.
the day,
Rituals is, by the way, all about feminine.
Exactly. And I like this idea of having like 3 pleasures per day. It can be anything. It can be like from things that we're used to, like buying something for yourself, to even like having 15 minutes for a coffee and like complete quietness.
I love this. I think joy is so feminine as well, and it is so important to incorporate joy every single day into your life in order to come back to that remembrance. I'm a woman. I can just be. I do not need to necessarily do. And and cultivate that joy in the present moment.
I think it's really powerful. Men are about doing, women are about being. And enjoying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'm sure our audience is very excited about further podcasts together.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, so I'll guess we're gonna see you in our next podcast.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.